That'll work, do that. I'd like to say that I learn each time. Doesn't seem to be melting anything. That might be pretty shocking. Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to Molten Modular DIY. Today I'm building a little oscillator. This little fella. It's from Kassutronics and it's a VCO based on the 3340 chip. That's the same oscillator that you'll find in all of the classic vintage synthesizers from Profit 5s to SH101s and so on and so forth. It's the oscillator of the moment. It's the oscillator which is within the Deckard's Dream project that I'm building. And that's the reason why I'm building this, is because those chips will be going into the Deckard's Dream and I wanted to try one out to see what they were like first. And also it'll give me the opportunity to practice my soldering skills and also to compare my two soldering irons. Because, I mean, contrary to popular belief, I do actually take advice sometimes. And some of the advice that's been given to me, I mean, there's been tons and tons and lots of really great deep advice. You know, everything from I really ought to get a fan in here, which I do have one over here now, through to, you know, clean rooms and baths of acid and ovens to put stuff into, you know, everything in between. And all of that is fantastic, but I have a desire to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible in order to demonstrate what could be done with very little gear and also how normal people can do this. You don't need to be an electronics head, you don't need to be a massive component nerd in order to do a bit of soldering to build some DIY UREC modules. I mean, it's great. If you've got a degree in engineering, that's fantastic. Go do that. You'll have a wonderful time. But if, like me, you just want to have a bit of a go, then do, and you can do that. However, one piece of advice I did take was to get a better soldering iron. Now, I'm an art about this a lot, and all the other DIY modules I've done with a crappy 12 quid soldering iron from Amazon. It's 12 quid it cost. It came in a little box of a bunch of stuff and bits and pieces. And it is temperature controlled. I've had lots of arguments over temperature controlling, but what I'm going to do and suggest for this build is I'm going to set it to about 350. I'm going to see how well that melts stuff. Now, the new soldering iron I've got is this Hakko Super Duper Turbo 8888 or something. This thing here. Now, just turning the two on, I knew instantly that this was a far better machine. Because you turn it on and its little display here, this little box, it spins up and tells you exactly how hot it is. And within seconds, it was at temperature. Ready to go. It was a bit scary, really. But what I'm going to do in my own bumbling, hackneyed way is do some soldering with the old iron, do some soldering with the new iron, and just see if I notice a difference. I mean, I'm not kidding myself to think that I'm going to be able to identify subtle changes in temperature and the way things work. No, I just want to have a feel for it. I mean, it may be that the Hakko here is completely unnecessary for what I'm doing, but it also might make things a lot easier. And if I'm about to solder something in the region of 4,000 components into my Deckard's Dream project, and I keep mentioning this because this is sort of part of that journey, or no, not exactly part of that journey, but I'm doing a video series on building the Deckard's Dream CS80 replicant synthesizer, a massive polyphonic synthesizer. It's an incredible project that is completely overwhelming. So this is sort of a part of that journey, but not entirely. This is a separate thing with which I'm going to focus on this particular module, this particular oscillator. And so this can stand on its own. But, you know, I'm taking the opportunity to test some gear along the way to make sure things are working before I do the massive build. And for those of you who are interested in what's happening with that at the moment, well, I've clicked the order button and I've ordered all the components. I ordered in the end from SynthCube. That just seemed to be the best, most straightforward way of accomplishing this. Although, sadly, SynthCube were very responsive to my initial questions and bits and pieces, but now that I've just given them $1,500, they seem to have completely vanished. I don't know, I've not heard a peep out of them, which is a bit weird. Maybe it was holiday season or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, hopefully they'll be back in touch soon and let me know when to expect my great big bundle of components. But in the meantime, let's come back and focus on the Kassutronics then. This thing here, I'm loving this faceplate, if you can see that properly. It's, you know, it looks like it's been dug out of a Soviet bunker somewhere, prized off a panel. It's made of wood, I think. But, you know, this is a good, cheap, simple oscillator to build. I mean, look, it's one PCB, one measly PCB. This is going to take me like 5 minutes. Actually, it's going to be interesting to know exactly how long this is going to take me, because that might be information. Maybe I can extrapolate that in installing all these bits, see how long that takes, and then I can work out how long the Deckard's Dream is going to take. Maybe. Now, this oscillator, as I say, takes the 3340 chip. Now, this is in here. Now, this is the chip that's also in the Behringer MS101 that I do have over there. So I think it might be interesting at the end of this, once I've got this working in some fashion, to compare the two, just to see what they're like. But that assumes that I get to the end of this having not broken it. Now, the instructions for this are scant. It says for the how to build it, where are we? Building, there you go. It says the build is straightforward. There you go. That's it. And it basically says it's written on the board. So there's your PCB. Yeah. It's written on it what they are. So there's no step-by-step, one component by component instructions like there is with the Turing machine, which was my first build and still remains the best build ever of anything ever. This is just going to say, there you go, off you go. But what it does have, and that I feel is vital, is a decent picture. So on here, on my little Surface Go, you can see that I've got a picture of the thing that I can zoom in and out of, so I can actually see more or less how it's supposed to look, where these things are supposed to go, just to reconfirm, yeah, just to reconfirm in my head what it's supposed to look like. And there's a photo, you know, a proper photo. And that, to me, is completely vital. That's probably what I need more than anything else, so that I know that it looks about right. Because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to follow things step by step through. I'm gaining knowledge as I go. I don't fully understand what everything is or where everything goes. I'm just following the instructions as best I can and enjoying the journey and enjoying the results. That's my plan. That's what I do. You know, I'm not claiming any engineering experience or knowledge or anything like that. Just having a go, man. Just giving it a go. And I believe that can be enormous fun. So without further ado, I'm going to get stuck in. We'll have a little bit of speedy uppiness from the overhead camera and bits and pieces, but every now and again I'll stop and just talk and chew the fat, as I do when I do these things. I was just wondering if I know where my safety specs are. I probably won't remember to wear them anyway, but here it is. Let's get stuck in. So what have I got? I've got this bag, which is switches and pots and sockets and stuff. That looks like the sort of thing one would do last. I've got a bag of resistors. This is probably what I need to start with. So let's get these little buggers out and see what occurs. Now my understanding is that everything goes on one side. There's nothing on the bottom other than the power connector. Okay, that's for later. Well, why don't I get this row in the middle out of the way first, because they're sort of staring at me. R22. I mean, does it matter? Who knows? So 3/6, right, goes there. I guess if I find something, let's put it in. Let's stop worrying about it. Number 36. That's going to go in the bottom there. Now, of course, if you're being conscientious, you should go through and check all of the values on every single resistor as you go. I'm not being conscientious because I am totally trusting the geezer who sent me the pack that he knew what he was doing. We don't all need to know what we're doing, do we? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going with it. Unless something seems wrong, like there's two together which seem completely different, I'm just going to go with it. I mean, in previous kits, I've had some where labels fall off, and then you've got to dig around and try to find the value and make sure that's right. And that's cool. I can do that. It's just a bit, you know, time consuming. R25, 180 all by itself. So there we go, a nice lovely row of resistors ready for my first bit of soldering. So why don't I do a load with my old soldering iron, see if that works. Then I'll do a load with the new one. Let's see how that works. What I should probably do is just have a quick look in the instruction manual to see if there's anything particular I need to do before I start. Because my assumption is that I just get stuck in, right? That's kind of what I do. Don't touch it. Right, okay. Set up. Small sponge. Did that. Large sponge. I don't know. Sponge. Use an appropriate amount of water. Okay. Cleaning wire. Yeah, it goes in there. Yeah, people have told me that I got that wrong, right? On here. It needs to go in there, not in the end. So, yeah, I've sorted that out. Connect it to the station. Operation. Use this button. Use this button. Good, good. So far, so good. There we go. After use, give it a clean. No, it doesn't say anything. Just kind of get stuck in. Fine. So, you know, that's what I do. So, soldering iron. Solder. PCB. Heat up the leg. Hands are going to be shaky to start with. Present the solder. 'Tis done. Just like that. It's that easy. It's just like that. Do it just like that. Heat up the leg. Solder. Heat up the leg. Solder. See, to my eyes, that's pretty perfect. I steamed through that using my crappy old soldering iron. No bother at all. Right, so let's do exactly the same thing, but with my posh soldering iron. Heat the leg. Well, see, this is it. I'm not getting any luck. It's not doing it. Do it with this one. Crappy old soldering iron. Stick that on there. It melts and does a perfect soldering thing. This one, stick that on there. Nothing. Nothing at all. They are set, as far as I know, to the same temperature. I'm just getting it on the iron. I'm not getting it here. It's not going into the joint, which says to me it's not heating up enough. Well, let's heat it up. All right. So this is one of those things. I mean, I don't really know how to get this across, but this infuriates me so much, is that when well-meaning people like yourselves, you know, good people, people who know what they're doing, say, do this, do that, get this piece of equipment. That sort of thing is great, except that you have to know why you need this new piece of equipment. And I'm often finding that I get suggestions and recommendations for things, and I don't have any idea why I need that, what that's for. And then as soon as you start getting higher level equipment, you then have to understand this higher level equipment. You then have to start taking courses. You have to start reading books and manuals. And that can be good, and that can be fine, and that can be helpful. But in this situation, all I want is a soldering iron. A soldering iron. It's something that heats up and melts solder. That's all it's supposed to do. And this 12 quid one from Amazon does that. I don't have to read a manual. You know, the fact that it even has a temperature control on here, I found a little bit kind of, oh, I don't even know what to set that to. Because I don't know what to set that to. And I've just set it to an arbitrary number. People have talked about, oh, 350 degrees is what you want, mate. So I set it to about that. And this works like a charm. This doesn't seem to be melting anything. It's a posh 100 quid soldering iron. And, you know, I assumed you would set it to temperature and it would melt solder. But it doesn't seem to, which says to me that I'm doing something wrong. I don't understand something. There's something I haven't done. It's got the wrong tip. I haven't tinned it or fluxed it or massaged it. I mean, I don't want to touch it because it's hot. I mean, I know that much. It's just not working. And what am I supposed to do with that? How can I move forward? You know, oh, this is the problem with moving to better and posher equipment, is that they assume more and more user knowledge. Well, I'm just trying to get the right tool, a decent tool to do the job, and I'm now stuck because I don't have any idea why this isn't melting the solder, why it isn't working, why isn't it working? Now, I'm sure lots of you lovely, well-meaning people that I adore are going to tell me why, and that's great, and I'm looking forward to all those sorts of comments. But just at this moment, this is pissing me off, because it's exactly proves, if you like, my own points that I clumsily make about, no, you just want to get a soldering iron because you don't want to get the posh equipment because it all goes a bit crazy. Exactly, that's exactly what's happening. This is exactly that. God, you bastard. It's not doing anything. I mean, look at the state of that. It's got fudge all over it. And yet you stick it there, send a bit of solder, and I've soldered the leg. I'm wasting so much time with this other thing. Well, I'm going to get on with my regular one because I've got to get on, you know. I've got lunch in a minute. I mean, I fully expect this to be something that I'm doing wrong, you know. It's just I don't have the first idea what that is. I mean, I guess there's probably some sort of process I'm supposed to go through to make that work. I mean, but I didn't do any process with this other one. I just did it. Great. Well, let's carry on as if nothing has happened. So, other resistors. Let's see if I can find those. Is this? It just works. Just works, man. Yep, that'll do. Now I might possibly invest in a better pair of these, maybe one that's a bit springy and slightly smaller, because this is a bit of a chunky tool for removing legs and stuff. Right, more resistors then. Woohoo! R32 and 34, 1K, 30, no, 1K, R32, and R34, which is 4.7K. Alright, so we have a discrepancy, right? So it says here on the board, R32 and R34 are 1K. In my kit list, I've got an R32 and a 34 here of 4.7K. Right, what does the BOM say? It says R32 and 34, 1K. 32 and 34, 4.7K. Darn it. If I look at the image, they are exactly behind the knob, so I can't see their values. Arse. What do I do about that? I guess I go back to the place. Well, looking at the BOM, I can't find these 4.7K resistors. These two are 1K resistors, according to the BOM. So that's awesome. So I'm going to go back to the guy and try to find out what that's about. In the meantime, I'm just going to see if I can finish off doing the rest of these resistors, and that perhaps would be a good place to stop for lunch. So why don't I do that? And that is all the resistors in place, except for the two mystery ones. Right, good. That's all the resistors in place, except for these two little buggers, which I'll have to go and find out what they are all about. So in the meantime, I'm going to take a break, going to get something to eat, and I'll see if I can get the rest of it installed without those two before I work out what to do next. Right, so I'm back after having a bit of something to eat and having a bit of a think and delving through the manual for the soldering iron, because I'm not going to let this go. Has to be a reason. And what I've done, I've did a factory reset on it because I probably messed around with some settings I maybe shouldn't have done. And then the other thing I did is try to follow the maintenance tips on how to clean the end, which didn't work because you had to set it at 250 degrees and it wasn't hot enough to re-tin the end. So I then, when I went searching for how to reset it online, I found somebody else talking about, oh, and then when you've done that, then clean the end, get rid of any black oxide and re-tin it. And I thought, ah, right, black oxide, because on the tip, when I was doing this earlier, it had a little bit of black on the tip. So I said to myself, maybe that's this black oxide that they talk about. Ooh, I don't know. So I gave it a clean, I jabbed it in there and I rolled it on the thing, and then I tinned the end, which to me, what tinning the end means is that you just sort of brush a little bit of solder on it so that it melts on, yeah, and then you get rid of that on your sponge and your end is essentially, jam it in there a little bit, is tinned. And it certainly does have now solder all over it, which it didn't have before. Can you see that on this screen up here? So there's every possibility that I have sorted out the soldering iron and now it works. I mean, I guess thinking back to when I was first using this one, it probably just didn't work very well to start with, and I persevered and I got more solder on it and it became tinned, and then it started to work much better. Maybe it's as simple as that. But what tickles me most is that, because people like to comment way before they've watched the entire video, at least that's my experience of my videos, and so there'll be a whole load of wonderful comments underneath telling me about the black end of my soldering iron and how crap that is and how I need to clean it. And I'm going to be very grateful for all those comments, but with a bit of luck, I might have just worked it all out myself, because that's the great thing. It's the great thing about my videos, man. This is what it's all about. It's a journey and a learning experience. And I'm thoroughly convinced that my role in this world is to put across the unfortunate happenings and life experiences of someone giving this a go. Because we all struggle with this stuff. We all fight our way through these hurdles and bits and pieces. And then when we do, we get through them and we move on and we forget about them. And then the next person comes along and goes through exactly the same thing. And things never change. And we forget that there are massive gaps in the next person's knowledge because you've just learnt all those things. And these things appear obvious to you now. And so in my videos, what I hope to do is hit these stumbling blocks and tell you about them, own up to them, share them so that your experience is better. And also, hopefully, that this will reflect back to the manufacturer, who'll be able to adjust the information in their situation as well. So I've got an hour before I've got to get the kids. Let's see how much other stuff I can get mounted on this board. I don't have an answer for the resistor problem. I'm going to put that to one side, and provided that I've still got space to put those on, nothing else is going to get in the way, then I don't see why it should hinder the rest of this build. So sod it, let's just get on with it. What's next? I don't know. Well, this is the great thing, right? Is I have no idea what's next, because what's next is entirely up to me, because there's no plan, there's no build manual to get through. So, in which case, I'm going to stick on a bunch of capacitors. These fellas here. Let's do that. So down here, C6 and C8 and C5 are all 10 nano farads, presumably. As these are trickier, I'm just going to do those three, and let's try the flipping newly tinned soldering iron. Back at 350 degrees, because that's what I reckon it should probably be. Let's heat something up, see what happens. Yes. Yes! That was it! That was a flipping solution. That was it. Look at that. C1 there as well. C2. Oh, rats! And this is the number one. Well, let me try to force those apart a little bit. Good. Good. That is those little capacitors done. And as far as I can tell, they all seem to be in the right place. Right, I've got a bunch of diodes, just the three, D1, D2, D3. Let's stick these in. But they have to go the right way round, because they're flipping diodes. So there's the band on the side, on here. And that needs to go down according to the picture. Okay, another diode. So where's the line? The line is there. Line is there. That way around. Good. All right. Soldering iron. Soldering iron is raising, lifting in confidence now. So maybe it wasn't such a waste of money after all. But, you know, it's only doing what the other iron was doing. So like I say, I'm in no real position to compare or contrast soldering irons. I don't know. Is one better than the other? The jury's out on that, I'm afraid. What's next? Well, let's try another bag of stuff. Let's try this one with the fat capacitors. Let's give those a go. Right, no labels on these, just big fat things. Well, there's two big fat things that go on over here. Well, there's two the same, and then there's a smaller one. Right, these blue things appear to be all the same, with little adjustment screws on the side. And you've got two more that go over here. So with the capacitors here, I've got two, and the positive is the long leg, usually, and this is blocked out colour here, which looks like the same as that. So that way round, this other one must go in there. Like that. If I refer back to my picture, that picture doesn't help, but the photo helps. On the photo, that's right, that's right. Those two are right. Those two are right. That's right. Oh, you dummy. I'd like to say that I learn each time, but no, the evidence is that I don't really. Oh, that's a bit of squiff. Yeah, got away with that. Got away with that, I feel. Okay, I've got about half an hour left. Let's open this big bag of bits. Right, a lot of pots, switches, patch sockets. Patch sockets are easy, as in, you know, they can only go in one way round, I think, and I'm unlikely to do anything particularly wrong with that. Oh, and one of these things, which are always a disaster. See that on there? Oh, they are the bane of my life. Now, thinking about this, if I do these first, then I attempt to do the patch cables. When I turn it over, they're all going to fall out. So maybe I should do those first. Just trying to use my brain to see how I can turn these over without them all falling out. If I do that, put a nut on, then I could hold all of that. Look at that! Yeah, that worked! Oh, I'm a flipping genius. Flipping genius I am. Well, some of those are a little bit more flush than others. Okay, there's a switch which goes next to that. Now this is a trickier one to solder straight because it's not going to be. Have to hold it or something. That's in, kinda. See if I can solder it from the underside a little bit. Or maybe I'm just being an idiot. Maybe it needs the panel on again in order to hold it in place. Oh dear. So you're looking at this thinking, how could this guy possibly, in any normal situation, be capable of doing a Descartes' dream? How? I mean, honestly, how? That'll work. Do that. Don't think about it. Just get it done. Yeah. Now I'll probably have to take this nut off when I actually put this on properly. Cool. Now it's time for these big whatsits. No, let's do this first. This is going to go here for these stripes. So that has to go in that way around, like that. Ow! Got a little bit too close in then. Yeah, job's a good one. That's relatively straight as well. Look at that, relatively straight on the back. God, geez. Now, 20 minutes, okay. Something along those lines. Let's see if I can get these pots in. So this is the 10 one again. Back to this here. These two are the same. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, all in. Now I should have done, what I should have done is the IC holders much sooner than I have. But never mind, we are here now. Looking good, looking good, looking good. So now, down to the IC holders. Oh, no, here we go. There's a pair here, there and there, and there's one there. Nope, one here. Now, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? I could use a knob. I could almost use a knob. Use a bit of this. That sort of works as well. Maybe a bit like that and like that. Someone suggested do opposite legs, so that's what I've done. And that's only a little bit rocky. Good. Good. That's fine, that is. Finally, this final bag. I've got 10 minutes. And I've got in here 2 chips, 2 of these power regulators, which go there, opposite each other. Good. So, presumably the last job is to put in the chips. So this is the TL74 something or other, which goes in here. I have to use my patented push against the table method of squashing these pins a little bit. Nice. And then, final part is this, which is the oscillator itself. This is the thing that does all the spinning about, makes the noises. Makes the noises. Goes in there. That just drops in there. Awesome. Now, if it wasn't for these 2 little buggers here, that would be complete. How annoying is that? Ah. Well. I have 2 mystery places on the board, Q2 and Q1. There's no Q2 installed on this picture. There is something very tiny installed on Q1. That looks like something surface mount. Let's go to the photo. Yeah, there's a surface mount doofy Q1. Is that what this is? Oh, gee flippin' whiz. I found a little thing. Wow. Is that what that is? Now I've got some tweezers somewhere. Where did I put those? Now with 5 minutes to go, I've just discovered a stupidly small little thing that I'm assuming has to go there. He never said anything about a surface mount thing, did he? Did he? Does it say anything about it anywhere? For the Sine shaping JFET, both through hole and the SOT23 surface mount type, are provided. Install one or the other, not both. The through hole is no longer manufactured but may be available. Okay, right, so what we've got here, and I don't even know where it is now. Oh, just kill me now. Oh no, I've put it on the board. So it's here. Now my understanding of surface mount, as much as I've looked into it so far, is you kind of put solder on the end and you put solder on the pad. How do you put solder on the pad, then how does it stay? So I don't want it to do falling over a bit. I want it to stay steady. Well, I've done that, but I've then got to put the that onto there. Right, with my terribly unsteady hands, that might have gone on. It's there. It's flipping on. It's on there. Wow, you've just witnessed my first stumbling bits of surface mount. Now I've got to somehow get, or maybe I'm going to still need that, don't know, somehow get some solder onto there without... Right, that might be pretty shocking, but it's on there. Right, well, I mean, there's nothing like throwing yourself into something unexpectedly without any preparation or thought at all. Just give it a go. Give it a go. That's what this is all about. A pair of tweezers came in handy. Absolutely vital for that. But wow, I had no idea I was going to have to do that. Right. It's school run time. That's a done job. If it wasn't for those two resistors, I would have a completed VCO, and that's just taken me, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours? Surface mount. I'm stunned by that. God, I didn't see that coming. He must have mentioned it. He must have mentioned it. And I was just oblivious. Good, right. So I'll leave it there and I'll come back. Might be today, might be another day. Whenever it is, I get an answer on these resistors, and then we can push on forward and do the comparisons to interesting things and see whether it works. Calibration, which I've never been any good at. So moving onwards and upwards, I'd say everything so far has been kind of a weird success. And we're back. Right, well, I made some discoveries overnight in that I talked to the guy who sent me the kit. Now, there's something I hadn't quite understood. I had made the assumption that Jim, the guy from Infinite Machinery who I was talking to, had made the kit, that this was his product, but actually this is a product by Kassutronics, who create and design and build the PCB and then provide that so people can create their own kits. What Infinite Machinery have done is taken that PCB and front panel and put it together as a complete kit. And that's what he sent me. So I'm just sort of now starting to understand the relationship between all these different factors. And so when I was using the assembly instructions from Kassutronics, that didn't necessarily have the specific amount of detail required to build the actual kit I was sent. So, having now spoken to Jim at Infinite Machinery and gone to their website for their build instructions, I have found the little note that says that when you're using the surface mount thing on here that we did yesterday, if you remember, then you need to use 4.7K resistors in place of those two 1K ones. See, that information wasn't available on the Kassutronics website, but I have now discovered it. So panic over. These are the right resistors. They just need to go in there, and really it just needed a note in the box or something. Well, but more specifically, it needed a note in the kit to say, go to the Infinite Machinery website for the build instructions, not to Kassutronics. Right. The other thing you impressed upon me was the importance to test the voltage on the chip sockets before you plug the chips in. Oops. So I'm going to sort of lever those out if I can and see whether I can do a little bit of voltage testing. I mean, that's exciting in of itself, because I do have a multimeter here, which is pretty dusty, but I'll see if I can get that to work. That'll be exciting. So, but first of all, let's just finish off the module by adding those two flipping resistors that tripped us up yesterday. Look at that. See, my soldering iron is up to speed within the time it took me to put the resistors in the sockets. That's pretty cool. See, am I starting to like my posh soldering iron? Well, you know, when it works like that, once you've worked that out, then absolutely I do. You know, it's more comfortable to hold than the other one. There's less drag on the back. It's got a nice handle on it. You know, is it helping me solder better? You know, I have no idea. Right, that is all the soldering done. That's the lot. Get off. I still can't quite believe I did that surface mount thing. I mean, can you see that on there, I wonder? Right there. I mean, it's a bit skew-whiff, big chunky bits of solder on there, but I just got stuck in and I did it. I didn't think about it. I thought, oh, I've got to do it. I've got a couple of minutes. Let's just see if I can make that happen. And I think I did. It seems to be on there. Just completely mad. I mean, I could have lost the thing because I had no idea that it was there. It could have just fallen off the desk. I could have thrown it away in the bag. Quite miraculous, really. Quite miraculous. Right, so now I've got to plug this into power and test these bits. So to do that, I need to take out the chips. Let's see if I can lever these out without damaging them. Yeah. Oh, there's a leg gone awry. Good. And it says power up test before inserting the thing. So first use a multimeter in resistance mode to check there's no short between the plus 12 volt and the ground, or between the minus 12 volt and the ground. I don't actually know what that is or what that's referring to. What's that referring to? In resistance mode. So I've honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. But if I'm trying to check for a short, then using the beep would show that, yeah? Because if it's a short, then you're looking for something to go from one thing to another. So on my power connection here, I've got ground and I've got stripe. So that must be the 12 volt bit, and the other side must be the positive and the negative. So if I put that there and put that there, if there's a problem, they would beep. See, like they do beep if I put them both on the minus. They don't if I go to ground, positive and ground. Yeah, so that to me, that logically works just using my meager brain cells. God darn it. Sometimes I wish these sort of instructions would really treat you like idiots, just so that you don't fall over, you know. Anyway, I'm going to move on. It says, next, power up the module and see if anything burns or explodes. Great. So I put my safety specs on for this. So I've got my power, red stripe, stripe. This then is going to have to plug into a spare bit on here. Right, so we're watching, let's turn it on. Okay, smoke test. That seems to be all right. So then I've got to use my multimeter again. So into this. To measure the internal rails as follows. Check there's a -5 present on pin 3 on U2 and a +5 on the right pin on RV3 as indicated. So I'm looking for volts. Volts, DC, we're going to go for, I think. Right. 2, 3, 4 and 3. Oh, look at that, 4.93 volts. Yeah. So the other one is on RV3, ground and +5, one side and the other side. Ground, +5. Or if I put it the other way, put the black to ground, because that makes more sense. +5 volts. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, doing it. Flying by the seat of my pants. So if that works, if these are okay, power down, insert them, and then see if you get any sound output. Right, cool, power down. What we should do at this point, put the bleeding front panel on. And the knobs and stuff. First of all, the chips. So this one is the too small for that. That's that one, and that goes that way round. That fits in there. Oh, there's a wobbly pin. Don't want that to happen. Oh, now people screaming in the comments going, "Don't touch the pins! Get your greasy fingers." I know. What am I supposed to do? Is that in? That looks fairly in. Just give it a squeeze. Right, so this then goes over here. Simple as that. Now, it said something about there being a protective film. No, well, it seems to be coming off. Look at that. Ah, see, that's interesting because in some ways I kind of liked this slightly distressed, this sort of distressed look on this side. The fact that it was faded and a bit sort of crappy, I was quite warm into that. But actually, underneath is something quite nice, differently nice, I would say. Let's put this one on. Like that. I don't want to screw these on too hard because it's wood. Right, then this fella. I need this screwdriver. Okay, it's a bit scrapey. What I'll do is I'll loosen that off and just bring it up a little bit. That's better. Tips with putting knobs on, right? Turn them all, one way or the other. Turn them all the way to the left, and then you know that that's going to line up to the far left prong. I mean, this is obvious stuff, obviously, but you know how frustrated I get when obvious stuff isn't pointed out. Oh, wow, that's not going on there very well. So, what? Okay, it's got a little nub of a screw. Make sure that's out the way. It's all the way around to there. That's better. Great. So there it is. Quite a funky looking oscillator. Now we've come to the point where we plug it in and potentially get sound. sound. I mean, who would have thought it? So this is off, red stripe down, well up. In this occasion, red stripe goes where the says stripe, stripe goes there. Great. So it all comes down to this. It all comes down to this. Let's take a cable, any cable. Let's take sine wave output, plug it in to the scope. Okay. Right, well I'm getting an output of not a whole lot, but I am getting one. Let's try another output. Oh, see, that's better. Sine output, very, very quiet. Triangle output, that's what you call 5 volts. Look at that, very strong. Sawtooth, yeah. Square wave, yeah. So it's just a rather disappointing sine wave. I wonder what I did wrong there then. Alright, let's take our triangle. Or let's try our pulse width first. Yeah, that changes definitely. Doesn't go too far either. Alright, let's take an output from the varigate. Right, well there's something going on there which I completely forgot to record actually over there, but never mind. We'll have another go of it in a minute. I've jumped the gun a little bit because there is perhaps some calibration required that I haven't remotely thought about. So let's think about that. So it says here, calibration. It's the fun part apparently. This is actually quite easy. Follow the steps in order. So tracking, voltage per octave tracking refers to how the tuning follows. Yeah, okay. Ideally, a 1 volt change in CV will cause exactly 1 octave change in frequency. You will need an accurate CV source, such as a MIDI to CV module or a CV keyboard, or something that measures the output frequency with. I usually connect the triangle output via an attenuator to my computer and use a frequency tab in a free oscillator. So first of all, I better take the thing back out because I'm going to need to access the trims on it. So it says, turn the Rev 2, Rev 5, Rev 7, it says turn the Rev 2 fully counterclockwise. What, so it falls out? It says it's a 20 turn trimmer. 20 turns? I've done 20 turns. No, this is nonsense. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that, but I've gone anyway. I've gone all the way left as many times. Maybe it doesn't have a point that it stops. Maybe you just keep turning it. As long as you've done it about 20 times, then you've gone far enough, you know. Press some notes on your keyboard. Alright, this is going to get complicated now. So how can I, with what I've got here, how can I emulate that? How can I make that happen? And I could get out my Mother 32. With that, send octave information. Could I use what I've got here? I mean, I've just got a varigate and a U scale. I mean, that's quite useful, potentially. I could take one out of there, put it in the 1 volt octave. Notes, channel 1, put them all to the same. So I've got it just on C. And then I could take it out of here, plug it into the 1 volt per octave. Okay, that's 2 octaves, I would say. So, press some notes on your keyboard and adjust the coarse frequency, coarse, yeah, to approximately 100 using the front panel knob. Okay, 115, go for 115. Now go up an octave, take a note of the new frequency. Is 20864. So let's call it Y. Okay, ideally Y should be 2x. So if Y is less than 2x, turn the voltage trimmer RV1 a bit clockwise. If it's less than 2x, well, it was 100.15, so it's a bit more. If Y is greater than 2x, then turn it counterclockwise. All right, so let's try to hold on to this without blowing things up. Oh, bollocks. Now I'm guessing because I've turned that knob, that's now messed things up. So let's start again at the beginning. Okay, 100.80, 180 something. Okay, let's go up the thing. Okay, 190. So if it's too much, I need to go counterclockwise on RV1. It needs to be 200. 201. 60 we're looking for. See, that's pretty close. But of course that isn't what it was. So calibration then of oscillators. This is now going to be my least favourite thing in the world. Because, I mean, I'm trimming it, aren't I? I'm trimming it. But am I trimming the voltage per octave? Because it seems like both of them are going down. Repeat 2 and 3 as many times as needed to get exactly within 0.1 Hertz or better of Y equals 2x. Each time you make an adjustment, both x and y will change. Aha! Thank you. Each time, take a note of the new x and calculate 2x accordingly. Alright. See, I'm within 2 now, so I can see how it's getting there. Do you see how it's getting there? Is this as much fun for you as it is for me? 162.0. That's within 1. That's within 1. So within 1. I've lost this light over here. I don't know if I care anymore at this point because this has taken so long. It's just extraordinary. When you're happy, go up 1 more octave and the same steps, but now check all 3 octaves. You're fucking kidding me. Okay, so another octave up. Okay, 115. 200 and what it should be within it, yes. So 240, so it should be 480. So it's a little bit over. So now it says do the HF track, the high frequency track. Go a few octaves up somewhere in the range of 1500. 202. 404. 808. Okay, 1616. 32. No, it's all pretty good, I would say. That's pretty good. If it was 16, it'll be a little bit flat. 16, 17. I'd expect 3234. 28. So I've now got to turn the HF one. Okay, 34. 16, 18. Well, that sounds alright to me. Don't know about you. That sounds alright to me. Alright, so it says the goal of this is to make sure the sine wave is as pure as possible. First check that you get some signal from the sine output. Oh, there's a sine trimmer, so let's go to that. RV7 apparently is the amplitude trimmer, which is this one here. Okay, I think that's going away, so let me turn it the other way. Turn it counterclockwise. Gee whiz. Ah! Come on! Oh, right, look. Okay, look, that's a sine wave. Right. Now I've got to change the shape of that so it looks a bit more like a sine wave. And that goes on the other one. Now adjust the shape trimmer till it is nice and round. Okay, so that's starting to get angular. Something like that, I think. Ah, there, I think. Then I need to adjust it back up to the same level as the other one. About there. So that appears to be it. That appears to be it. God damn it. Oh God, what a tedious process. I mean, I guess it's it's a thing. It's something you have to do, and I need to think about ways that I can set myself up better for doing that quicker. I don't know. Is there a different screwdriver? Those trim pots, man, they just do me in. But actually, they're having this little thing here with the O tool and the variegate, my U scale, which you can't see that U scale here, to give it the octaves. It's actually a really useful way of doing that and using that. Right, it's all done. I'm going to sort of attach this to the rest of my system so I can play with some music and compare it to the MS-101, which I think I'll do in another video. But I will just do a quick demo of this by plugging it into the rest of my rack, and I'll come back and do that in a moment. So, we're back. What does it sound like? Well, we better do that bit then. Well, the 3340 VCO is a simple oscillator. You have 4 outputs: sine, triangle, sawtooth, and pulse. A little bit of pulse width modulation and some hard or soft sync. That's your lot. We're not messing about. There's nothing funny going on. There's no secret source or secret powers. It's just good old-fashioned waveforms. And as we know from the 3340 oscillator, it's the same waveforms generated by the Prophet 5, the SH101, the MS101, the Neutron. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that stacks up. But for now, let's just start with the waveforms. What I've done is I've put each waveform through this little mixer here so that I can blend them together like you would on something like the MS101. So sine wave. Triangle. Sawtooth. And then square wave. But then of course, we can start blending them together. Great, super, good, standard, good quality, nice waveforms that you can mix. All 4 outputs happening at once. You could divert those into different places and do different things with them potentially, or you can combine them together to make a slightly more complex waveform. What I'll do is I'll pump in some notes and have a bit of a play. It also has twin voltage per octave inputs, which means you can send it sort of two things and get them, I guess, added together. So there you have it, the Kassutronics VCO 3340, using that classic oscillator chip that we all know so well. How does it sound? It sounds all right. It sounds all right. It sounds fabulous, I think. Sounds just brilliant. Mixing those waveforms together, I was able to pull out those bassy sounds, those leady sounds, those very clear bell-like top sounds. Yeah, all sorts of bits and pieces. And it's a simple oscillator. I really like simple oscillators. I mean, the ones that I use the most are the STO from Make Noise. I use the Hakko even VCO that I built. And this one, I think, yeah, I'm going to be using this one a lot too, because it sounds like I expect an oscillator to sound like. Do you know what I mean? And it works in the way that it's supposed to. There's no surprises. I'm not being fooled by anything. I'm just mixing waveforms together and crafting the kind of oscillator synthesizer waveform sound that I want. The analog sound, the sound of a synth. That's what I'm after. That's what this gives. And so in terms of how it works and what it sounds like, brilliant. And it's not expensive. It's an inexpensive kit. You could build this yourself. I did. I mean, did you see that? Did you see the way I built that? It was no trouble, no effort, just in an afternoon, blah-de-da-de-da. Bosh, oscillator. Although that's how it could go for you, because you're undoubtedly going to be better at this than I am. And so let's just sit back for a second and talk about this experience that I've just had, this mass of learning that I've just been through, this journey. I mean, it's a couple of days now since I did all of that, and I've been editing the video down and reliving a lot of it. And thinking, good gracious, this is just, I mean, it's a disaster, but it's also awesome stuff. It's the stuff that makes us learn. So what have I learnt? Well, first of all, I've learned that my flash new soldering iron is actually good and flash and new. It's not head and shoulders above the cheap one that I had. I could still get away with the cheap one, but what I've noticed using it is that it feels nicer, it heats up dead quick. I have a certain amount of confidence now in it, in that its temperature is right and I'm doing this right. I did beef up the temperature a little bit from when I first started using it. I put it up to about 380, and that seemed to be sort of the sweet spot for melting things at that particular time. It also has a finer tip, a nicer tip, and that helped certainly with the soldering. But the fact that I went through that process of deciding that this is crap and rubbish and I should throw that out and what a waste of time, and then realizing that actually I was at fault and there was something that I needed to do to sort that out, that was Brilliant. That was gold. That was TV gold. That's TV gold, I think. No, that was a brilliant thing to go through, and I'm very pleased with my own tenacity in sticking with it and going with it and not just throwing it out and sticking with the simple stuff. You know, that's worthwhile, I think. And there's a lesson. It's a lesson to me. You know, whether it's a lesson to you, who knows? But to me, you know, I definitely am learning through this process. The next thing I learnt was about surface mount, because that was unexpected. I had watched a couple of videos on surface mount soldering, and so in my head I knew that I had to put down a glob of solder, get it jammed into that. I mean, how you actually held the tweezers and soldering iron all at the same time, got all that going under some kind of magnifying situation. I don't know, I just made that up as I went. But that seemed to work. I seemed to pull it off. It wasn't a neat job, but it appears to work, which is all you can ask for, really. I have now just got in a Pulses. It's the expansion for the Turing machine, which has got a bunch of surface mount on it. Well, you know, half a dozen bits and pieces. So I'm going to use that as a practice, because another thing that I've learned is that this practice is important. I thought, you know, it'd be a bit of a laugh to build this oscillator first, because this is the oscillator that's going to be inside the Decker's Dream. So I thought, yeah, build one of those. That's a good sort of interesting thing to do that connects in nicely with the Decker's Dream project and means I can talk about that, make another video, la di la di la. But actually, in the process of doing this, it's opened up a whole load of stuff, because I haven't done a DIY project in quite a while. And so you forget so quickly, you forget some of the hurdles you have to get over, like with my head getting in the way of the camera when I'm leaning over to solder. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's so stupid. And I've done that before in previous videos, and you know, I fixed it by positioning the camera differently, slightly to the back, slightly to the side, slightly angled, so to avoid that. But if I hadn't have gone through the process of building this oscillator, I might not have remembered. And so my first soldering on the Decker's Dream could have been completely ruined by that. You know. So, I mean, this video hasn't been quite so focused on the time-lapse soldering, simply because I didn't get the footage. I just got the top of my head. Which is, oh, I mean, it beggars belief. It really does. But I've learnt that now, I hope. So I'm going to give that another try. So what I think I'm going to do next is that I'm going to plough into a couple more projects. I've got a bunch of kits on the shelf that I haven't quite yet got around to that will be great to build. So the Pulses, yeah, I'll do that certainly, but also I've got a couple of kits from Hakko, and I've got the sample thingy slicer to do as well, and to do at least a couple more kits to hone and practice the practicalities of filming and getting that down and explaining it. And also, because it goes on for hours, I'm filling up my flipping hard drive with video from this camera and that camera that I then edit down to as small as I can, and it still ends up being an hour. I've got to be able to do it smaller and sharper and quicker, more concise. Although, you know, running on, talking stuff, it's kind of what I do. So I don't know, quite no answers to that, but the answer is to practice, is to do more and see if I can get better and more streamlined at it. As for the build on the VCO 3340, yeah, it was good. It was easy. I found that I didn't need a big long list of instructions to do it component by component. I think when you're starting off, the first kit you do, that's ideal, because you need that reassurance. So something like the Turing machine, which gives you that step-by-step guide, is absolutely ideal as a first. And, you know, quite demanding project, because there's a lot of parts that you're trying to fit together. But it's an awesome module that everyone needs to have, a Turing machine. And so the rewards are great at the end, and you would have been stepped through picture by picture, component by component, which is brilliant. Didn't get any of that with this, but because I've now built a few kits, I'm starting to get a feel for, oh, right, the resistors are labelled on the PCB, and you know, the right ones are going into the right places. And even the issues that I did come up with were not a problem. It was purely a problem in documentation, which is one of the reasons why I do this, is to highlight these things so that these kits can get better. So that when I build a kit, the experience that I have related to you lot should hopefully improve everybody else's experience. You know, that's ideal if I can do that kind of thing. So thanks again to Infinite Machinery for sending me the kit. It was a lot of fun, it's a lot of frustration as well, but none of that was down necessarily to the kit. It was down to me stumbling my way through another DIY build. So that'll do, I think. What I would like to do, I'd like to do a comparison video with this oscillator and the Behringer MS-101, just sit them side by side, see if they can make similar sounds, see how they work together, because I think that might be interesting. But I'll do that in another video if I can get around to it. Otherwise, as I say, more DIY projects are coming along. I have also now heard back from SynthCube. They are just missing 1 or 2 items from the kit that they need to stuff in before they can send it to me, but that should be on its way to me this week, which is great. And then we'll start looking forward to actually building the Descartes Dream. If you've no idea what I'm talking about, just check it out in the channel. I'm building a Descartes Dream. It's a massive 8-voice polyphonic synthesizer. Whew. And if you found this video helpful, then do check out other videos in the channel all about DIY, all about modular, all about synthesizers, making noises, some software stuff, some surface stuff, all sorts of stuff in there. If you're feeling really brave, you could become a patron of mine. Throw me a couple of quid so that I can make more of these modules, get in more of these kits and do more of this stuff. But otherwise, just have fun, enjoy yourself, don't take it too seriously, join us in the comments beneath. And in the meantime, go and make some modules.